There's a lengthy tweet that I sent this week that said the following. The full story of USAID funding Hamas is vast, and much of it was done in secret. Before and after October 7th, the USAID flowed unaccountable hundreds of millions of dollars towards Hamas that enabled it to launch the attack and keep battling Israel afterwards. They lied about the nature of that aid in public databases, refused to disclose what groups were getting the money, and gave tens of millions in American cash to be distributed without American supervision. They internally admitted the aid would benefit Hamas and even exempted themselves from anti-terrorism laws, but in public issued denials. For all 4 years of the Biden administration, I prevented them from confirming a Middle East administrator because they wouldn't acknowledge what they were doing, because continuing their secret pro-Hamas programs was more important to them. And I'll tell you, there was a major article in the Washington Free Beacon that I tweeted out as well, and it's an article my team and I provided a significant amount of the information to the Washington Free Beacon, but it's entitled, "At USAID, Funding for Terror-Tied Groups and Internal Hostility Towards Israel Goes Back Years." One former State Department official described a lack of embarrassment among some USAID staffers about being associated with terrorist organizations. And I'm going to read from the beginning of this article because it's an important article and the facts in it are very disturbing. As the Trump administration works to shutter the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, current and former U.S. officials who work closely with the embattled aid group say they watched for years as it funneled millions of dollars to anti-Israel advocacy groups and entities linked to terrorism. That funding caused internal friction across multiple administrations, according to those who spoke with the Washington Free Beacon. In some cases, USAID fought to conceal how taxpayer funds were spent. And when it came to Israel, officials recalled battling USAID over funding for groups that worked to undermine the Jewish state or maintain ties to terror organizations. Quote, "For those who believe in a strong U.S.-Israel relationship, elements of USAID have been problematic for years," said one former State Department official who worked with USAID during the Biden administration. Quote, "There was even a lack of embarrassment among some USAID staffers about being associated with terrorist organizations. Some of the terror-tied funding initiatives are publicly known. In November 2022, for instance, USAID awarded $100,000 to a Palestinian activist group whose leaders hailed the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, a designated terror group. Just 6 days before Hamas's October 7th assault on Israel, USAID handed $900,000 to a terror charity in Gaza involved with the son of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. USAID's hostilities towards the Jewish state, however, ran deeper than the agency's grant-making. Under Samantha Power, former President Joe Biden's pick to run USAID, agency officials fought pro-Israel policymaking at the State Department, often urging their colleagues at Foggy Bottom to pare down statements that praise the Jewish state, former officials said. In 2021, during a period of conflict with Hamas, Power herself refused to meet with Israel's ambassador unless Israel reached a ceasefire with the Iran-backed terror group. The decision put Power at odds with the White House National Security Council, which signed off on the meeting, emails obtained by the Free Beacon show.
It is